Yeah, sound is speeding, Gabriel. Jeez, we got the crackly cracks and... Scum gang.
Okay, speeding. Oh, the clock is...
We gotta be careful about saying the scum gang thing on air.
Why?
Have I ever explained that to you? Because then it associates us with Tekashi 69, which is not a great guy to be associated with.
No.
What?
We're not gonna do that?
We shouldn't say it on the podcast. I know it's funny off podcast,
Yeah,
but
this part we're gonna put on, right?
yes. But he is, Tekashi's a kind of a fucked up guy. Not even kind of. Very. Wait, Gabe, is the camera speeding? Gabe just left me alone here. It's actually very, very temperate. Oh, fucking A. Very temperate. So you just were gonna leave me here and... Okay, the timer. Good job. I understand what you did there.
Yeah.
You got the timer. It's important.
Ready? Ready for timer?
Yeah, wait, hold on. 3, 2... Nice.
Oh, do we have a treat for you, ladies and
What
gentlemen?
is going
today.
on here?
We watched the best film of the year.
No, it's one of the worst
We
movies.
Dale and I are
Let
going
me
to
ask you a
go
question.
at it right now. Me and Dale are going
No,
to
we
battle it out to the death about how fantastic or perfect of a film 3,000 Years of Longing was. Because I'm telling you all right now, it was the best film of the year.
One of the worst movies
Better than Nope.
I've seen.
Better than Bullet Train. It was the best ever. Right, Dale? Dale, tell us how good it was. Go ahead. Tell us how good it was.
It was awful.
Go on. Yep.
It was awful.
Yep.
I'm sorry, George Miller. You
George
fucked
Miller's
up.
a genius. He's a genius.
Great director, but he fucked up on this one.
What do people know George Miller from?
Mad Max.
Damn. Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like OG Mad Max or
Yeah,
the one that came out
both.
a couple of years ago? He did that, and then he did this?
Yeah, dude.
Guys, I'm telling you right now, he must have been like, man, I could have wrote a better script for Tom Hardy. I really let him down. My next film, I'm going to give him the best dialogue ever.
Yeah, bro. He did all the Mad Maxes.
Guys, the script was terrible on this one.
Dude, he did all of them, dude.
Wow.
Oh, what? Oh my, yeah, he did all of them.
And he did Happy Feet, just so you all know.
Well, maybe he was I don't know that he directed.
No, I bet he directed it. I bet it's his favorite film he ever directed.
I could see him. Now that I've seen this movie, now that I've seen 3,000 Years of Longing, I could see him. Nah, he produced Happy Feet. Did not. It doesn't seem like he directed it. Hold on.
Because he's a tap dancer.
Hold on, let's see. Oh, no, he did direct Happy Feet and Happy Feet 2.
See, I'm a pro.
Shout out to... Okay. So, just to give a run of George Miller's credits, Mad Max, The Road Warrior, which I've never seen. Twilight Zone, the movie, he directed a segment of that. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. He did a music video for Tina Turner. He did Babe, Pig in the City.
Better than Happy Feet, potentially.
Yeah. Then he did Happy Feet and Happy Feet 2, Mad Max Fury Road, which I like a lot. 3,000 Years of Longing. And he's doing another Mad Max project. Thank Christ. We got to go back to what you're good at, George.
Just putting it out there.
Yep.
What is the chance that 3,000 Years of Longing was either a studio project or a very personal project? I think the studio was like, no, George, we're not doing another Mad Max. And he's like, how about this? Here's a book. It's IP. I know you want it. I'll direct it. And now the studio's like, we got
and
screwed.
He duped him.
He duped him.
You think MGM's like, fuck?
Yes, I do.
Do you think they're like, God, fucking damn it?
Guys, it was not good.
Hey, listen though, you know,
Me and Dale about
tax write-off.
Yes. Me and Dale probably about half hour into the film, I think we both felt each other shift in our seats. But
No,
we
it
didn't
took longer than that. It took longer than that.
I felt it.
Okay.
The shift in the seats.
Oh, I noticed you leaned forward, which is when I lean forward, it means I'm invested. When you lean forward, I've noticed it means you're like, what the fuck? I've noticed that about you.
It goes both ways for me. It's a good observation on Dale's part, because if there is a what the fuck moment at the top of the film, I will lean in. But when I get excited, I will say something you can also pay attention to for me is sometimes I'll start a film with my arms crossed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my physical language sucks for this. I'm not being open at all to this. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to double down. I'm going to keep my arms crossed. And they better...
You were just deep sighing for...
Oh, man.
110 minutes.
You mean 3,000 years?
I have to say, can I say something too?
Go on.
Terrible title.
Terrible.
Because then people are like, wait, so is it going to be 3,000 years long?
Was the original...
Like, don't title your movie 3,000 anything. Don't do it. Don't do it in anything in the thousands.
Was the book titled 3,000 Years? I don't think it was.
No, this is interesting. So, it's not even based on a book.
I thought it was.
No, it's based on a short story.
They took a short story and turned it into this doo-doo caca?
It's based on the short story The Djinn in the Nightingale's Eye by A.S. Byatt.
How old is that short story?
Bruh,
Look it
I
up
don't
right
know.
now.
So this is interesting. The other writer, other than George Miller, other than the guy who wrote the shorts, and other than the guy who wrote the short story, is this guy Augusta Gore, who has no other writing credits.
Oh, well, that's a little unfair. Because there are
no other produced movies.
There are some people who they need a start, and their friends are willing to give them a spot.
Yeah. And this was a bad start. Start over.
All right.
This was terrible.
Go back to the starting line. Can you look up A.S. Byatt's short film for me?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Aladdin for adults.
It's not Aladdin for adults.
The problem
Aladdin
is
actually good.
Also, the problem is adults want Aladdin for kids. Like that's there is no Aladdin for adults.
So yeah, okay. A.S. Sorry. A. Okay, she is Antonia Susan Duffy, known professionally by her former marriage name as A.S. Byatt, is an English novelist, poet, and Booker Prize winner, and won the 27 Park Kyung-ni Prize. I don't know what that is. It sounds like it's Korean? Korean prize?
No, this mic is...
What? I know, that's not good. Hold on, can we try something here?
Go for it.
Try that. Oh, jeez.
Definitely not this piece of granola on top of my mic. Definitely not.
Do you want to swap in the new mic?
Oh,
You could if you wanted to.
Call.
Okay, so just so you know, A.S. Byatt,
Where is the other mic?
right there.
Pass it to me.
Yeah. All right, we're doing a mic swap.
I don't think it's a mic, though. I think it's the cord. Thank you. All right, go on. Tell me about
She
A.S.
is an English novelist, poet. The Park Kyung-ni Prize, I'm curious about what that is, because...
Also, I'm going to just let Dale talk for a little bit so you guys enjoy.
Alright. Yeah, so this is just the Colin Dale podcast, and... So, okay, it's always interesting. So, Park Kyung-ni was a South Korean... I was right, South Korean novelist. So... She was born in... Later, she lived in Wonju. Made her literary. So anyway, but this author, Antonia Susan Duffy, aka A.S. Byatt, won that prize, which I'm gathering is just a prize for excellent writing, named after the South Korean novelist Park Kyung-ni. In 2008, The Times named her on its list of the 50 greatest British writers since 1945.
Wow, that's a hell of a list.
So, she's a decorated... A.S. Byatt is a decorated author. 86 years old. So...
Definitely made her memorable with this film.
Oof. And so, this is apparently based on a short story of hers called The Djinn in the Nightingale's Eye. But, okay, so The Djinn in the Nightingale's Eye is a 1994 collection of 5 mythical short stories by British novelist A.S. Byatt. And I'm gathering they adapted the titular short story from that collection.
Okay.
Is what I'm gathering. So, yeah, unfortunately, this movie stinks. Where to begin? How's that mic working for you?
You know what's interesting? It feels like the last issue was the mic, because I'm twisting it now and there is no issue.
Okay.
Which is kind of unfortunate in my opinion, because cords are cheaper to replace than mics.
That is unfortunate.
But I guess we'll run with this for now.
Okay.
Okay, so, yeah, as usual, me and Dale always claim.
We're giving the audience all sorts of little treats here. Little gaffes and fun twists and turns in our creative process.
Yeah, this podcast is already a better film than...
a little more entertaining, I would say.
Okay, so me and Dale, as we always say, we'll always say, we go into every film excited.
Excited for it.
At the very least, we're excited moviegoers, if not, at best, excited for the film in and of itself.
Yes.
Whether or not it's the director, the writer, the producer, the actors, which, by the way, Tilda Swinton, Idris Elba.
Tilda Swinton, great actor. I don't think she was very good in this, I have to say.
I don't think she was bad. I just don't think she was given a lot to work with, You know?
It felt weak on her part.
I always go back to material when it comes to performers. Like,
yeah,
the
so the
baseline should be,
actors never... They can never be blamed. No, I'm kidding.
It's not that actors can't be held responsible for a poor performance, but a great actor can do a lot with a poor script.
True.
A bad actor can't do much with a great script. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So with somebody like Tilda Swinton, who's as experienced as she is, unless, sure, maybe it was a short shooting schedule, maybe she's in between projects, maybe she was just excited and want to slip in real quick, and so it didn't get as much attention to detail as other projects, fine, maybe, blah, 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 full disclosure. I also just think, we've spoken about this, the film feels like a play. Well, this is what's interesting. My first instinct, too, was it feels like a play on camera, and the reason I say that is because plays are typically a dialogue-driven medium, whereas films are a visually-driven medium. The problem is that even though this film feels dialogue-driven, it's not even dialogue in the sense of meaningful conversations. Half of the film is exposition. It should be reading story time out of a book.
Yeah.
You could literally take out half... I bet you... maybe I'm being unfair. I'm assuming I'm being hyperbolic. I bet you could take out half of the film by putting text, like Star Wars slow crawl, between every conversation. You could literally go, and this is what happened 1,000 years ago, and you're going to read for just about 4 or 5 minutes about what took place, and then back to Tilda Swinton having a conversation with Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Chat, back to a slow crawl. By the way, here's some cool, fancy background
Which,
images.
by the way, I think is a really lazy... This movie felt incredibly lazy, script-wise.
Masked as stylistic. I think they really thought they were making stylistic choices to, honor a short story. From a cinematic standpoint, I don't think Dale's incorrect. I think there are so many ways. It all comes down to, when you're watching a movie, a lot of it comes down to this. Are you using the medium in a way that, at the very least, is familiar to the audience, at best is innovative from a visual stance?
Yeah.
And in this case, I think the audience, more often than not, is going to be bored.
Really bored.
Even if it's familiar visual language. And nothing feels incredibly... That's the other thing, is you can't use special effects and call it innovative. Everybody has a budget for special effects now.
Yeah.
And when your whole film looks like an Adobe commercial, I don't care.
Oh my god, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
The special effects added nothing to the story.
And stuff like that.
By the way, the special effects added nothing to the story.
You could have done
that. Am I tripping? They added nothing to the story.
You could have done that film with, smoke pellets, but a better script, and I probably would have been more interested.
1,000%. this movie is trying to say something about modern day, and it's remaining at the same time remaining completely esoteric in its approach. It feels pretentious. It feels inaccessible. It feels removed from like reality in a way that I didn't find charming. I found just like silly and fucking stupid. And not silly in a good way, because sometimes I use silly as a positive.
I'm watching the trailer play on your computer, and some of these things just are not memorable to me. I don't remember certain moments because the way the story executed, story plot and character beats, it's like I just don't remember some of these things. But more importantly, why do we remember things? Because we have a connection to them, because we care, because they cause us to have a, I guess you'll have a change in thought. They'll inspire us. This film felt a great example of something that should be every bit inspiring and was not. Let's break it down more. I still feel like we're talking high level.
We're talking high level.
Yeah, I'd like to talk more detailed for the audience.
Let's start with the opening 5 minutes. Because that was like probably my favorite part of the film.
On the way to the TED Talk.
Yeah, I loved the stuff on the plane. I liked the inroad to the story, which is like, I'm going to tell you a story. It's a fairy tale. You might not believe the story, but I'm going to tell you it. And I loved the shots in the plane. I loved the exteriors, the kind of like mounted shots on the plane and the wheels and the plane as it's landing and all this stuff. And then it gets very confusing because then we're introduced to a bunch of characters who aren't important later on.
Okay.
Unless I missed something. So we're introduced to a bunch of characters she meets at the airport. She's in Turkey. She's in Istanbul for a conference.
For narratology.
For narratology. She's a narratologist. And so she studies stories. But she studies them intellectually. She's emotionally removed from stories. Which is sort of like a central aspect of the character.
Which is a great launch pad.
Great launch pad. So that's why I liked the inroad to the movie. Okay, I'm with you. Okay, narratologist. Okay, where are we going to go with this? And then I just the movie started lulling me to sleep after she collapses on stage. She passes out because she's having visions of mythical figures basically in Turkish mythology.
Yeah, in the audience is basically just a regular, everyday attendees for the conference.
Yeah.
But there's one attendee who's clearly not material and has a very ancient, ghost-like aspect to them.
Yeah.
And so there's a confrontation between that figure and Tilda Swinton. And it ends with a blackout, and then, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1... And then, basically, as Dale was saying, that's kind of where the intrigue starts to fall off.
Yeah, I'm getting bored just talking about it. I can't. It's hard to even. After the movie tries to launch itself into the center of this, into the crux of the story, which is the genie in the bottle.
Yeah.
The gene, as he's referred to, because I believe I imagine that's the Turkish.
The jinn?
The jinn, I'm sorry. I imagine that's the Turkish word for genie.
It's used throughout, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
It's a jinn is referred to as, I think, a demonic force.
Okay.
It's not a divine force within Middle Eastern culture.
Got you.
It can also be tied into as forces opposing God within the Islamic faith, I believe.
Got it. Okay.
So this is a complicated figure. If you're talking about culture at large, then a jinn is basically Aladdin and the genie, Robin Williams.
Sure.
And because this film doesn't really go into Islamic faith
at all,
yeah, then I don't think there's any reference to him being something that is evil.
Yeah.
Especially when the figure is meant to be a force for love for our protagonist. The jinn in this film is capable of great love that is unrequited always.
Yes.
Mostly because of he lives bound by a transactional existence. Does that make sense? Everybody he is in contact with must there must always be transaction in order for their relationship to exist.
And I think that was meant to be metaphorical. So the Jean's role, which they set up in the movie when she's giving her piece of the lecture in Istanbul, she mentions how we're sort of in a scientific age. We're sort of left to, when it comes to narratives and stories, we're left we're sort of resigned to metaphor as a really helpful device for understanding ourselves and our relationship to the world and everything. Yep. And so that's setting up in a sort of an on-the-nose way, setting up, okay, that's what the Jean is gonna, that's what Idris Elba's character, the Jean, is gonna, that's what he's gonna serve in the story, is something symbolic. And I think as a result of that, sure, we get all the esoteric shit. So we get all that literary stuff, and I can understand, I can like sort of grasp it intellectually, but I don't feel anything for the Jean, and I don't feel anything for her.
Let's talk about how they meet each other.
They meet each other because she buys in Istanbul. She buys a.
It's like a perfume bottle.
Yeah,
but it's not.
It's like a glass pipe-looking thing. It's like a perfume bottle. And it breaks, and then Idris Elba comes flying out of, in the form of a Jean, comes flying out of, I want to, like, this is distracting. Flying out of the fucking, whatever
bottle,
it is.
Like Aladdin style.
And
he's released from his current.
So he's in now he's in Tilda Swinton's hotel room, and he's like, I have to grant you your 3 wishes.
Right. Which, by the way, this is packaged in a very intellectual experience. On the one hand, it's visual and beautiful, but like Tilda Swinton's very good at being like, this is not real, this is not real, oh, this is real. And while that's happening, she tries to communicate with the Jinn, Idris Elba, and she, because she's well-educated, goes through different languages that she thinks he may recognize. He eventually falls on the language of Greek, ancient Greek.
Yeah.
And so they're communicating through an ancient form of Greek. And Idris Elba being we'll say, an eternal force, not bound by molecules, but bound by sound and wave. This is something they go through in the film, which is another layer of metaphor that maybe we can talk about. Humans are finite, and we live as dust, basically, soil, chemical compounds, and the Jinn is an infinite force that is composed of waves and energy. So they're having an intellectual conversation. Eventually they find out they can speak Greek together, and then him, through his ability to contact with the sound waves throughout the planet, which they kind of graze over this really quickly. It's kind of interesting, but kind of like, okay. It's a rule of the world they establish very quickly, is that he can learn by simply interacting with technology or with taking in what's in the air. And so within 4 minutes of them talking, a few exchanges, probably not even 4 minutes, within 2 minutes of them speaking Greek to each other, suddenly he can speak modern English.
Yeah. So he's very adaptable. He's very intelligent, smart. He's sort of a chameleon. And so it's an interesting character on paper for Idris Elba to play that he probably hasn't played before. And I'm sure that might have been part of the appeal for him to take the role.
And thinking on now in terms of opposing forces, it's interesting. You have an eternal figure who wants nothing but requited love, whether or not he's willing to admit it. And then you have a finite figure who has managed to avoid love her entire life.
Because she's afraid of pain.
And she basically no longer values it.
Yes.
To the degree that she has forgotten that she no longer values it.
Ah, yes.
So, in many ways, like Dale said, the film has a fantastic inroad. Like, setting up these characters...
On paper, awesome.
On paper, yes.
Awesome.
Like, I'm telling you right now, like, right off the bat, just talking through it, this story, at least the way it starts, the story is a lockup. But cinematically...
No, it's a wet fart.
It's not even a cock-up. It's a wet fart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, so let's go from there. So they meet each other, and then how does Idris Elba go into, how do we find out who he is?
We find out who he is because he tells the story of who he is and all of his failed attempts to grant the given person he sort of first comes into contact with in different eras across history. He tells the story of his 3 failed attempts to
Find love.
Yes. Well, to be able to fully give his love to that person. Because through time, each of the people he interacts with is ultimately unwilling to fully accept his unconditional love. They are distracted by sex, they're distracted by material desires, hedonism, through history, and so again and again, he is seen as he's the person he's working with to like grant 3 wishes. They ultimately come to see him as unimportant and or even an intrusive force in their life, when all he wants to do is give them unconditional love and grant them their 3 wishes.
Yeah.
And so again and again, he's resigned to another like encasing. You know, sometimes it's like a bottle, sometimes it's a
metal
flask or something. You know,
something.
It doesn't matter. But so then Idris Elba tells those stories, and not only is he telling those stories, we see those stories play out visually. So each of those 3 stories is its own visual sequence, which became exhausting very quickly.
Yeah, they're really long,
really
guys.
exhausting.
They could be like 7 to 15 minutes at a time.
Oh, and I was just like, wait, we're gonna do another one? Oh shit, there's another one? You know,
in between those stories, there's like more in between those stories. Like other it's just there's always another story within a story.
Yeah.
Any action that actually takes place in present time, it takes us like 50 minutes to get any action. After they meet, they're in the hotel room for like almost an hour. Am I crazy? I would say
they're in there for a while.
If I want to be diplomatic, because I don't remember, I would say they're in the hotel room where they first meet, and we're hearing their backstories. They're in there for like 35 to 50 minutes, and that's a long time, especially because we spend so much time on the Jinn, the great and powerful Jinn, and his unrequited love, and his intersection with human history.
Yeah.
We spend so much time on that, and Tilda Swinton, we don't know nothing about.
Nothing.
Also, it looks like we're about to. I realize with my headphone I can't hear the thing.
Yeah, it's all good. So we'll be right back.
Yeah, let's. Yeah.
With the Movie Addicts podcast, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. So stay with us. Thank you for listening. All that good shit. And we're back with the Movie Addicts podcast. That is loud.
So last time, I was just saying a moment ago, so we spend a ton of time in the film with listening to Idris Elba give his backstory, and Tilda Swinton has no screen time at all giving her backstory. And it just, again, it makes her... I think they were having so much fun painting this eternal being that they just assumed everybody would love. They spent so much time on that the character that we, as the audience, really relate to most, the human in the story, the one who constantly is withholding our ability to love because of modern distractions, whether it's education, technology, pleasure. In the case of Tilda Swinton's character, not so much pleasure, but in the case of everybody that the Jinn falls in love with, as Dale mentioned, hedonism, the one character we're really supposed to identify with, she just doesn't have much to express. And it makes it hard to care about her.
Yeah.
And it makes it hard to care about his struggle. You know? Because...
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so another thing is that we set up a lot of this film as a ramp or a runway for them to take off into a romance together.
Yes.
They eventually fall in love. But you don't see that. Like all the love that they eventually find for one another is not really based in action. It's based in thought.
Yes,
Which
it's all intellectual.
Which completely, I think, kind of fails what the film is trying to do.
Well, that's because by the way, movies aren't supposed to be hyper intellectual. There's very little room in the film medium for over intellectualizing anything. In my opinion, that's how I feel.
I'm going to caveat that by saying
that's my manifesto.
There's room for hyper intellectuality when it's paired with action.
And feeling.
Yes. In the case of Chris Nolan's films, there's tons of intellect.
But you do feel something. Yeah.
Because there's action. There's characters that
are
driven
there's
by
a world.
motives.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
But in this film,
True.
There's,
great example.
There's two protagonists.
Yep.
And there's not... You know what? Interesting. There's not really an antagonist in this film. Is there?
I think he is the antagonist. I think he's viewed. It's because he's viewed as he's like a pseudo antagonist. He's like a hybrid. Yeah, which I agree with you.
I'm gonna disagree.
I would say that they probably thought in the script. I think George Miller and company probably thought that he was the antagonist, and I think it comes off as feeling flat, and so the film seems to really lack conflict.
Yeah.
And that's a big struggle because audiences they don't just want conflict on screen, they need it in order to understand what the fuck is happening. Or else they won't pay attention. And so I found even myself, who's a pretty attentive, really attentive moviegoer, I found myself being like losing. I was failing to focus on because nothing engaging is really unfolding on a deeper level.
We just don't know what to pay attention to.
Yeah.
When there's a lack of conflict inciting incidents, acts and sequences and scenes that push a character, up and down through various journeys and cause them to make decisions.
Yeah.
That result in character revelation.
Yeah.
And revealing to the audience who they are. That is necessary because that's how we live our lives. Every day we have conflict. Every day we're making decisions.
Yep.
Or we're not making decisions. We're action or inaction. But all of
which is its own form of decision making.
Exactly.
But yeah.
And so, when that manifests on screen, we can't help but feel engaged. When it does not manifest on screen is when we are really
lost.
Really lost. We do not know what to pay attention to.
We're not grounded.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And so that's a big thing for anyone who's made it into the podcast this far. That's a big problem with the film, is a lack of conflict and a lack of knowing who to care about and what to care about. You have these incredibly interesting characters intellectually and emotionally who are set up at the top, but the film is doing not much to really make them, God bless you, really make them relatable or...
All right, go on.
They're not really... The film isn't doing much to make them relatable or...
no.
That's just... Yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And then, so if we want to move it from, character and plot to maybe theme and metaphors and ideas.
I think we kind of touched on the important ones.
We did touch on the important ones. What I want to just chat about briefly is the fact that the film tries to cover a lot of ground.
Yeah.
And I think it fails because sometimes it's only doing it visually without hinting the audience at what they're paying attention to.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's only being done through dialogue. And
yes.
At that point, we just don't care about what the characters are saying because we don't care about them.
Absolutely true.
It's also lost by the audience. Like a great film, in my opinion, for modern cinema that has a lot of metaphor is The Matrix. And The Matrix at all times is doing something visually that's tied in thematically. For instance, the red versus the blue pill.
Totally.
The dichotomy of decision.
Yep.
The fact that, the world of The Matrix is a little bit desaturated, whereas the real world, although is dingy and in absence of life's pleasures, the color is more vibrant. you know.
Yeah.
And there's little gifts like that the Wachowski sisters go into in order to guide the audience through that thematic journey. In this film, it's like, here's a really important intellectual concept that's relatable to everybody, and let's just put that on the shelf, and let's talk about my backstory again. Is that an unfair evaluation? What do you think, Dale?
Explain like the last 5 words of what you just said again.
So, for instance, we talk about, let's think, the sound waves.
Sure.
And the Jinn will go on about how he's connected. He is a being of sound waves.
Yeah.
And the audience can't help, at least for me, can't help but take notice of that. That is a new concept. I've never heard that ever in storytelling before. That a being is not made of atoms, but they are made of energy and light. That is a fascinating concept.
That's a very it's not a very Western storytelling concept.
Sure. And so the first thing that
more of an Eastern concept.
The first thing that occurs to me is that I need to pay attention to that. What does that mean?
Yes.
How does that relate to me, and why am I not made like that? You know, is that relevant? Should I aspire to be like that?
Sure.
Do I have something to learn
Yeah.
from this creature that is otherworldly?
Yep.
Goes on the shelf. I don't really care. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that concept, it comes back a couple times in the film. You know, there's a moment in the film when it's taken off the shelf. Tilda Swinton comes home from a long day, and we see the Jinn is struggling to exist in an environment which is heavily over inundated by sound waves. Basically, they're living in a city, tons of cell phone towers. He's made of sound waves and energy. It's exhausting for him. Everything passes through him. It's like him being able to hear a million thoughts in a single second.
Yeah.
And so he turns. He's kind of like dehydrated, evaporated. He turns into stone, basically.
Yeah.
And she comes home and kind of wakens his spirit by calling out to him and wishing to him that he would return. And I just feel like that there's something there. There's something in that theme of like, what does it mean to be made of material and consumed by material?
Yeah.
And always on our phones. And then what would it mean if I wasn't like that? Like, our society really does struggle with its obsession with materialism. And I think that's got to be a nod somewhere. Like, the idea that this beautiful, otherworldly creature... I don't think
it's just materialism, though.
What I mean to say is that there's... Actually, no, I do say... I'm going to push back and say materialism, because what I take away...
Is that what the film's saying?
I'm not saying that's only what the film's saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is it's interesting that the intersection... that the intersection between the human and the Jinn is a material object. Ooh, that's shiny. I want to buy that. And I purchase
I got that. Yeah.
I purchase it for solely the beauty, the novelty of a physical thing. By the way, on the inside of that physical thing is something far more infinite and beautiful than you could ever imagine if you opened it and you gave yourself the permission.
And all she wants,
to experience
once
it.
What's inside of it comes out, all she wants to do is for it to not exist.
Right.
Is to make it not exist. I don't want this.
Yeah.
You know, she's like intellectualized everything in her life to the extent that, and that theme does feel relevant, but it's like she's intellectualized everything in her life to the extent that like she can't even. She can't even. She won't even ask for it. Like, it's right in front of her. She doesn't even really need to ask. Well, actually, that's not true. All she has to do is ask.
Right.
Like, he's gonna grant her 3 wishes.
She literally rejects that in the film. She says, "I don't need to ask questions."
Also, there's an undertone. There's an undertone of like. There's like a sexual tension for sure.
Also true.
That's sort of baked in there. And she won't even, like, ask. Like, he's open to the idea of, like, oh, yeah, we could, like, make love or whatever. What does he call it? Love magic or something?
I honestly don't remember this too well.
But what I mean is, like, they're in the hotel room in their bathrobes, and there's something, like, pseudo-sexual about it. There's a sexual tension in the air, and, like, you think, like, she might ask for him to fulfill her sexual desire, but she can't even ask for that. And that's, like, the most immediately accessible thing.
Sure.
In the room.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she's, like, she won't even... Like, to me, there is, like, I don't know. And so she's, like, that's the character, right?
Yeah, what I feel you're getting at is when you have a character that, like, just struggles so much to be emotionally connected to anything.
Yeah.
And is finally given the permission, anything you want. Anything you want. You know, emotional, material, intellectual, you can have it, and she's still not asking for anything.
Yeah.
It's almost like she prefers the way her life is, as if she's given up on dreams. She doesn't have aspirations anymore.
There's something very, like, stale and depressing about it.
There is. Which does kind of go back to the concept that a narratologist, you know? Like, intrinsically, I think there's something beautiful about studying story. But they use the Tilda Swinton character and they push it to the umpteenth degree of, like, here's somebody who's studied it their whole life. Yeah. That they forget the magic of story.
Yeah.
You know?
What it can make you feel, what it can do for your life, how it can enrich your life.
And here we are, a mythological creature right in front of you, alive. It could satisfy you physically. It could satisfy you emotionally, intellectually, materially, anything you could wish for. And by the way, you are rejecting it. Why?
Right. And so I think, again, to circle back to our earlier point, like, on paper, this movie might have looked kind of okay.
Magical, beautiful.
Yeah, but the execution isn't there. It's lacking in feeling. It's lacking in...
This is what bothers me between this experience and Nope's experience. Because we watched Nope probably a good 6 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
5 weeks ago.
I mean, I definitely felt a lot of things during
There were a lot of things to feel in Nope. But what I mean to say is me and Dale, when we were sparsing it out on the podcast just a few weeks back, there were things that were occurring to us that we did not experience while watching the film.
Yes.
But those additional things ended up recoloring and helping us enjoy what was already a active experience of watching.
Yeah.
Me and Dale, I feel myself, you know, my heart opening up to what the filmmakers were trying to accomplish, which is very exciting, beautiful concepts. But the execution, like an active watch of 3,000 Years of Longing, just
it's
is
tough
not,
to get through.
It's not engaging. It's really not.
And so I think as a result, it's a shame, but I don't think it's going to reach very many people. And I don't think, if it does, whoever it has reached, I don't know if it's resonated with them very much.
Do you got any box office numbers for us?
Yeah,
now that we're about a week after.
Yeah.
Also, 12:20, just as a time.
So we'll take a break in 10 minutes.
Yeah, you know, I just want to point out, anyone who's still listening, I get bummed because, like, anytime we talk about a film that we don't like, I mean, I guess other than The Gray Man, but even The Gray Man, there's a lot of lessons to be learned from what we think was a failure in that regard. There's always something the filmmakers are trying to accomplish. You know, like, some people talk about, like,
I have the numbers.
Some people talk about, like, is there really such thing as good and bad when what a lot of people perceive as bad, somebody out there was doing with good intentions?
And someone out there might like it.
Right.
Right. Might think it's good.
But even in the case of, like, history's greatest horrors, a lot of those people weren't doing it because they're sociopaths. They were doing it because they thought they were justified in doing the right thing in their own eyes, their family eyes, God's eyes. And so to bring that back to, like, just, you know, a very simple, pragmatic approach with filmmaking.
Yep.
Every filmmaker wants to make something beautiful, funny, sexy.
Yep.
Relatable.
Yep.
Educational.
Yep.
And so I understand the impetus behind this film, but unfortunately, again, the execution is just not there.
Yeah.
And no amount of budget, no amount of famous actors is going to save this one, in my opinion.
No, clearly not, because you have two great actors. You have Idris Elba, who's one of the best, and you have Tilda Swinton, who's also one of the best.
You also have a killer director who has successfully delivered films that are...
that large audiences gravitate to and enjoy.
Not only gravitate
yeah.
to... I remember one of the biggest things with Mad Max Fury Road, which, by the way, is the only Mad Max film I've seen. I know there's a ton in that series. But Fury Road, one of the biggest things celebrated about it was how engaging it was in spite of the lack, like the complete and utter lack of dialogue. And this film is just the opposite.
Yeah.
There's too much dialogue. And by the way, the visuals are beautiful, but they feel confusing and untethered.
Yes. So box office numbers. Domestic release date was August 26th. So it's been 2 weeks, actually.
Okay.
Worldwide gross is 9,289,000.
Okay.
That's pretty awful.
Well, it's how much did it cost to make the movie? That's what I'm curious about. Like, if they only spent $5 making it, which I doubt, I completely doubt. But if they only spent $5 making it, 10's like, all right, you already made back twice, you know?
$60 million.
Oh no! Oh, guys, this movie might not even make money. Not
even. No.
Oh,
It's gonna
goodness.
lose a ton of dough.
Oh my goodness!
Jeez Louise.
So they spent $60 million making this. In 2 weeks, it's made 10, which means let's say
less than that.
let's say somehow word of mouth, this film does great, and me and Dale are wrong.
That's not gonna happen, but yeah,
Let's just say
it's not gonna happen.
Idris Elba, please grant me this wish.
Yeah. Idris Elba's like, no.
It would make $5 million a week. It would take a 12-week run to make back the money of the film. It's not happening.
Not gonna happen. They're gonna pull it in a week, max.
You think in a week? I'll give
it's doing pretty terribly.
I'll give it 3 weeks. I think they'll give it a 4 to 5 week run.
3 more weeks. You're saying.
Yeah, 3 more weeks. If they're willing to do that. I don't know how the contracts work. I don't know if, like...
From what I understand, the way theatricals are working nowadays,
Yeah.
they're pulling shit. If shit starts to really tank, they'll pull it faster. And they'll pull it more precisely. So they'll be like, oh, it's really not doing well in this specific theater location. We'll take out 4 showtimes from that location.
Got it.
It's sort of starting to work. It's becoming very mathematical, from what I understand. And so I think this is going to be one where you're going to see showtime start to disappear. You're going to see it disappear from certain locations. It's going to be psh, 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 and then before you know it, just like the gene, it's going to...
You know what I also don't understand?
Be gone.
How some films, like this, it looks like it has okay marketing, but there's some films that are great, like Bullet Train. And where was the
And Bullet Train's marketing was not incredible. It was fine, I would say. Sorry, go on.
All they know is about the occasional trailer and billboard. Where's the like really fun, like audience, really fun like behind the scenes footage with the actors. And
Which, by the way,
interviews.
to Netflix's credit, Netflix is doing a better job doing that kind of stuff than anyone.
Yeah, it's true.
Doing events around stuff, promoting stuff like boots on the ground, like finding creative ways to promote shit. Netflix is actually doing a pretty fucking good job at that.
You know why they
to their
probably
credit.
are?
Why?
Because Netflix knows that as a tech company, first and foremost, they only really exist online.
Yep.
So they probably understand that if they want to compete with studios, they need to exist in the material world, a.k.a. events, a.k.a. showing the actors behind the curtain, a.k.a. Interviews and big press junkets. You know?
I would love to see Netflix push themselves to do some bigger theatricals. I think that would be interesting. I think they would have to be really selective about what they decide to go full theatrical on. But I don't know if that's in their plans.
I just don't see how Netflix can release up to 4 studio films a month and not even do 1 a month in theaters.
Well, so like to be clear though, like when Roma, like when some of their Roma, The Irishman, their higher profile releases did hit theaters briefly.
Well, aren't those
like I saw The Irishman in a theater, but
I thought those
I saw
are
Roma in a
different
theater.
situations though, because I thought Irishman is a Netflix produced film, but
Yes.
Roma was purchased by Netflix.
Okay, I didn't know that about Roma.
I don't
thought
know.
Roma
I
was.
th-
I
I
think
thought
Roma
that's
was
what
a
it was.
straight up Netflix
Now I'm curious. I'm gonna look this up. Real
release. I love Roma. I saw Roma on campus at USC with my manager Andy. Shout out to Andy. That was it was a beautiful film to watch in a theater. It was wonderful.
quick. Okay, so Roma. Let's look it up on Wikipedia. Drama film, Alfonso Cuarón, Miteco. It's an international production between Mexico and the United States. Production companies: Espectáculos Fílmicos El Cayul, Pimienta Films, Participant Media, Esperanto Film. There's nothing in here about Netflix on the basic.
Yeah, but that's because Netflix buys the film from production companies.
That's what I'm getting at, though.
No, but that's for everything. I mean, it's a Netflix imprint movie. It's not like...
I think this is the distinction I'm trying to make with you. The Gray Man and The Irishman were Netflix from day one. Here's directors. I'm throwing money at you. We are the production company and the studio and the distributor.
Well, there's other production companies too, though.
Sure, fine, because et
Yeah.
cetera. But that's what I'm getting at is we're chatting about what we're chatting about. The distinction between. I'm losing my train of thought now.
I think we're getting lost in a convoluted thing, but like I think.
We were talking about theatrical releases. That's what I'm getting at. So with Netflix, I think they can take a chance on one movie a month.
One
that
movie like
they
a year,
produce
but yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
Not that they bought. That's where I think Roma is a different. Because
No,
Irishman
no.
they should put in theaters. Roma they can't put in theaters.
They always, in a sense, they always have to buy it because the production company goes and makes it. There's a there's not a handshake agreement, but there's an agreement. We will pay you. You're going to spend all the money on the production, then we'll pay you for production budget plus X.
Okay.
That's how. So it's always bought, so to speak.
Does
that make sense? Like from
no,
what I understand,
it does make sense, and obviously there's tons of nuance in the ways all these films get bought and at different periods of their life cycle. In my mind, I always imagine, for instance, random example, I'm not going to use a movie title. A movie's made, directed, shot by Colin Charles Dale.
Okay.
Goes to Sundance.
Okay.
Right? Netflix sees the film at Sundance, offers to buy it, and then puts it on streaming. Would you call that a Netflix film?
Yes.
You would. But it wasn't made, and its original theatrical release was not Netflix.
Yeah.
Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, well...
So that's where I'm getting at, is I think Netflix, regardless of what films they buy off of, in the case of Roma, an international pick made by a production company, I don't know. Like, why aren't they taking more movies from day one and putting them in theaters? Why not? Why didn't Irishman had a limited theatrical release?
Limited, yeah.
Why wasn't The Gray Man in theaters? We know why, because it was made for streaming.
The Gray Man was in theaters, though.
For how?
Limited. It was also limited. It was in some theaters.
Yeah, for like 2 weekends, maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I want a full-on commitment.
No, I agree with you. That's what I was trying to... So circling back, that's what I was trying to say was, like, I want to see them do some full-blown theatricals. I have no idea if that's in their plans. I just think it would be worth it for some of their titles to do that, to go...
I'm really curious the numbers behind that. Why not? Like,
yeah, well,
why
it's
is
expensive. It's expensive to throw stuff in theaters, and you better try to make a fucking return in a tight window of time.
I guess so.
I think and they're placing their bets on
It's just frustrating.
streaming and now on ad supported stuff.
It's frustrating with me when I'm like thinking people or studios would assume that it's we got 2 minutes.
Got it.
Studios would assume that it's cheaper to build a film and then only release it streaming wise.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to reconcile that concept with, by the way, we're going to spend $100 million on this picture. You know, I would rather you
I agree with you.
I'd rather you make a movie for 25, market it for 35, and then use the remaining money either, I don't know, for another movie or to put it through like a large theatrical release. I just don't. But again, I'm not a film financier. I really don't know the details behind this stuff.
Yeah. You got really pensive there for
It's just
you all
frustrating.
right?
Yeah, it's just frustrating.
You all right, man?
Yeah.
You good?
We made it.
We made it.
All right, we're going to take a pause, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
When we come back, we might give some final thoughts on 3,000 Years, but probably not too much more, right?
Do you want to pitch anything today?
We could, but like,
We'll spare the people since we're not. I think it's like when a stand-up comic goes up on a stage and there's been no warm-up comic.
Got it.
We want to do pitches on days where we
we
loved the movie. We're feeling inspired.
Yeah.
This I'm feeling like the wet. I can still smell the wet fart.
Yeah.
Of 3,000 years in the room right now.
Absolutely.
And so we probably just wrap it up and get on our way.
We're playing lots of like household games right now.
We live in a house with a bunch of people and all this stuff. All right, so we will be right back.
We'll be right back to say goodbye.
With the Movie Addicts podcast, we'll say goodbye. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Just let that run. Just let it run, because then it'll be easier to cut it later on.
Cool. You good?
Yeah. Ready for you? Sounds sweet.
All right, well, I moved my car. I got some mail. I just checked my mail just now. Some people trying to put me in debt, which I'm already in.
Dale's a powerful man.
Yeah, they're like, let's send this guy. Let's give him some sketchy loans
Dale's going to sell one
so
movie.
that he can be in more debt than he's already in.
He's going to sell one movie, pay off his debt.
Thank you to President Biden for the
Joe Biden.
student loan forgiveness. That's going to be a big help for me.
Have they talked about legislature with that at all?
Yeah, it's seeming like I'll be eligible for it.
That's great.
Which is nice.
For sure.
Which I appreciate. Thank you, Joe. Only $100 million. No. It's going to actually be very helpful for me.
That's good. The purpose is to take the edge off, because this economy is kind of wild right now.
Yeah, it's awful. So you know what, Joe? I appreciate it. You bitch. No, I'm kidding. Fucking voted for him. Guy, did one thing for me.
That's what I'm saying, dude. We'll give you 2 more years to pay off the rest of our debt, or you're not going to be in office again. That's a choice you have, Joe.
I'm not going to lie. You might, yeah. You know what, Joe? Keep it coming, man.
Keep it coming, baby.
I don't just want 10,000. I want all of it to be paid off.
All of it.
That probably won't happen, but I appreciate it, President Biden. Thank you very much. Okay, anything else?
Let's think. So, regarding... Regarding 3,000 Years of Longing, would you say it's a cock-up or a lock-up?
Absolute cock-up.
Absolute?
Yeah,
no room, no wiggle room?
I just didn't enjoy it at all, and so I can't give it a lock-up if I didn't enjoy it.
There you go. Yeah, I'll tell you all right now, I also vote a complete and utter cock-up.
Yeah. We do a quick moment of silence for just a 30-second moment of silence for 3,000 Years of Longing.
Yeah, rest in peace, 3,000 years.
Ready? So... We love you! Someone shouted in the back. A moment of silence. Movie sucked! Whoa, who said that?
Please silence your phones.
Guys, please.
Please silence your phones.
The naked cameraman has his phone out. It's a moment of silence.
Naked cameraman.
Get your fucking phone down.
We're going to have to fire you again for the second time this week.
What is it with these fucking guys?
We're going to talk to the contact at the union. We're going to make sure.
These guys are unbelievable. He's on his phone during the moment of silence for the movie.
You got to understand, I'm already distracted by your naked body, and then you have to take your phone out as well?
You use that phone to cover your penis up, you slob. We got him.
That's it.
He's fired.
Done. Let him go.
Get out of here.
By the way, you know who else is also out of here? The Movie Addicts podcast.
We're out of here. It's a goddamn Saturday. I'm going to go see a movie alone, which I haven't done in a long time. It's going to be absolutely lovely.
Yep.
I'm going to go to the American Cinematheque, one of the theaters, the Egyptian or the Los Feliz Theater, and see a little movie and
Hell yeah.
Eat a little popcorn. And
we like
it's gonna
popcorn.
Be great.
Hell yeah. This is
the Movie Addicts podcast. I'm Dale.
And I'm Gabe.
And hope you enjoyed your weekend. Yeah.
And hope you're grateful for all the time we saved you for not watching 3,000
Yeah, we
Years
saved
of
you.
Longing.
Trust me. Yeah. We saved you a lot of goddamn time, let me tell you.
Too much time.
All right.
Go be productive with
Thank
the
you
time
for
you got
listening.
back.
Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe.
Au revoir. Au revoir.
By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, please fucking subscribe. Please. So many people who watch this stuff on YouTube don't subscribe.
Maybe we should say subscribe at the beginning of the video.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
We should. All right, well, whatever. I'll put this out as a clip. Like and subscribe. Please. Please.
Help us. Help us help you.
We're starving.
We're trying to save you time.
Yeah. No.
That's the only purpose of this podcast, is to save you time.
Yeah, so please like it. Please. Please.
Please.
Thank you.
Pretty please.
With just one like, you can...
With a sponsorship on top. Pretty please with a sponsorship on top.
Yep. And if you, if you're an up and coming brand and you want two lunatics to promote your brand,
You got
we're
two
your
lunatics.
guys.
You have at
We're
least
your
one.
guys.
So
Yeah. One lunatic and one. I don't know. What are you? What derogatory term would you apply to yourself?
psychopath.
Okay. One lunatic and one psychopath. We will promote the shit out of your brand. Let me tell you.
Anytime, any day.
So it's not, if you're really looking for, the ends justifying the means kind of thing.
You know what we'll do? You know how we did
We
Rest
can do
in
it.
Peace for the last two films, 3,000 Years and Breaking? Next time a film sucks, we'll just talk about your brand for 60 seconds.
We will. We'll do that.
We'll say, this movie sucks. By the way, buy this. For 60 seconds.
It's a good sell.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. We'll do it.
You know what we'll do?
Your ad could go here.
We'll sell your product first, and then keep them on the loop.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the film sucks. Then they leave the podcast. Why would we tell them the movie sucks and
You're
then
right.
do the ad?
Did you hear that?
We'll do the ad first, and then we'll follow it up.
That's how Gabe thinks on that practical
That's what
level.
I'm saying.
That's a great... Did you hear that?
I'm an intellectual.
You want that psychopath. If any psychopath, you want that psychopath promoting
One
your
psychopath
product.
plus one lunatic.
And I'll scream and shout about your product until people buy it.
Dale will also test it. If you give us a toothbrush to sell, he'll see if he can
That's
snap
it on
it.
camera.
He'll see if he can snap that with his own jaw.
It's like an old QVC thing. If you actually see here, I just snap 1,000
If you
toothbrushes.
just welcome to the home the home network for shopping. This is Dale. I'm
Yeah.
Gabe, and today we're going to be
I'll
testing
test
out.
it. I'll brush my teeth on camera.
Today we're going to be testing out a microphone.
I'll test It's okay. I will brush my teeth on camera if you... Why would a toothbrush brand sponsor anything ever? People always need... It's like eggs. People always need eggs. People always need toothbrushes.
Unless
you don't need to spend that much money on
Unless
marketing.
it's a startup toothbrush.
Yeah, but like, what are they gonna do? The toothbrush floats and hangs out with you,
Dude, maybe
maybe
the
this toothbrush doing?
I'm just putting it out there. Maybe they have here. I'll put it out there. Maybe they have capsules with toothpaste that go in the base of the toothbrush, and then it comes out the top. $1 million idea.
That's a pretty
I'm
fucking good idea.
just saying, $1 million.
Someone's
idea.
definitely tried that
Definitely not.
because you're a genius, and
I'm an intellectual.
yeah. I think if the toothbrush, like, could also like give you like a little motivational remark, that's not like some like auto stored in the thing, not like that, but it's an AI and it adapts. It realizes what you need in the morning and at night.
Good morning, Dale.
No,
Today
not
you
some
look-
bullshit.
Today
It says something like cool, like
Today you
Dale,
look beautiful.
Your hair's looking so gorgeous.
You know what it
If
does?
I got that in the morning, I'd be like, you're right, toothbrush.
What if it tracks your purchases and learns who you are? So Dale buys a hairbrush, Dale buys some hair product,
Yep.
and they're like, today, your hair looks fantastic.
Okay.
Your hair looks like a stallion. Today,
Mm.
you are a beautiful horse with hair flowing in the wind. By the way, your thighs look incredible.
Ah, thank you. Thank you, toothbrush.
That's all. Thank you, toothbrush.
Thank you, brush. So, something to think about.
Welcome to the Movie Addict Shopping Network.
Yeah. All right, so we'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed your weekend.
Please.
Don't watch 3,000 Years of Longing. It's terrible.
We saved you time.
We
Don't
saved you
forget,
time.
like, subscribe.
And money, and money.
And money.
Money's tight these days.
It
We
is
saved you
tight.
time and money.
Yeah.
Nice. This has been the Movie Addicts Podcast. I'm Dale.
I'm Gabe.
And see you later.
Bye.